think you see footage of a child on a ventilator doesn't move. That is so tragic. It's not that it doesn't move them; it scares them, moves them in another direction. You have to understand these people aren't not responding to this stuff. Their response is based on what they've decided this means already. So I'll give you an example. You know all the let's see, right wing radio host COVID. If you just type that in right now, you'll find a dozen stories. I have no doubt. There we go. What's the most recent one? Here you go. This dude. Lovely fellow, I'm sure. Conservative radio host who spurned vaccines, mocked AIDS patients, dies of COVID-19. Bob Enyart, a conservative radio talk show host and pastor at Denver Bible Church, because that's what you do. You mock the sick. That's what Jesus did, was mock the sick. Gives a sermon in August. Sermon. It's a speech. Fuck off. Who boycotted vaccination against coronavirus. He died of the virus. They don't see this guy on a ventilator and not react emotionally. What they think is he was murdered. They have already made up their minds that it has to be a conspiracy, because they couldn't imagine realizing you're that wrong about that much. It would take a lot of courage to come out into the sunshine and go, I was completely mistaken about this. That's why so few people do it. And so it's easier to believe that this guy was murdered because of his beliefs, and that all the doctors and the government and everybody's in on it, and the New World Order and George Soros and the UN and all that stuff. Instead of, it's an infectious disease, he ignored the warnings and died, which is, they choose Occam's rubber mallet over Occam's razor. And these children that are dying, they are reacting horrified. It's like the QAnon folks who believe that it's all, that there's a giant pedophile ring that's locked up with the Democratic Party and the Rothschilds and shit like that. On the one hand, of course, they're lunatics and it's scary. But on the other hand, at their root, if the ones that really believe it, they in their mind think they're trying to stop child sex trafficking and stuff, which I can't fault. That's a good desire to have. It is wholly and insanely misplaced, considering the myriad of allegations against Trump and Brett Kavanaugh and Matt Gaetz, and Dennis Hastert just reached a settlement with the guy he sexually abused when he was a page in Congress. That kid's all grown up just now. Longest serving Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, Republican, just this week, he's old as hell, just reached a settlement with the guy he molested. Just totally blowing off the obvious. We've done so many stories on here about guys who volunteered for Trump or work for the Trump organization or whatever that are busted for child porn and the like. Rudy Giuliani, of course, admitting on his show repeatedly to copying and disseminating stuff he thought was child porn. So, again, if the QAnon folks, it'd be amazing if they gave enough of a fuck about this stuff in real life, for real, if it wasn't just that they thought it was a good political cudgel. They'd be outraged about Nasser and the gymnasts that were assaulted, or Jim Jordan, for fuck's sake. The fact that these folks don't care about Jim Jordan, or don't even bring it up or care, is indicative that it's they've politicized their own feelings about this stuff. So this guy, we've seen dozens of these folks, who've died, and their belief is, people how can they see this and not be moved by it? Well, they are moved, but they are moved deeper into the hole they have dug themselves into, because coming out would take too much emotional work, too much courage, too much self-awareness, and they're just not capable of it right now. I don't know what gives them that hand up, what brings them back at all. But, but it isn't this. When they see this stuff happening, or when they see stories about, a kid who's died of COVID or a rise in cases in a school, they think it's a plot because they have to. Because not if they admit it isn't a plot, or that it's simply that we're dealing with this disease, then they have to realize how stupid they've been all along, how gullible they've been along. And we've seen a bunch of this. We've seen a bunch of, like, I think recently, literally, I bet we could type in, "Are we the sheep?" Yeah, here it is. San Francisco, just 3 days ago, this article came up. Are we the sheep? QAnon believers struggle to process Gavin Newsom recall election in California. One day before it's obviously, I mean, they're dealing with this loss. These folks that were interviewed for this article are dealing with the fact that they're gullible saps who got suckered today and yesterday since it happened. Although most people likely assume QAnon has deep roots in places like Florida or Texas, it's anywhere there's rural areas, there's and decent internet. Let's see. We'll scroll back to the speculation. And lead up to the Newsom recall, Anons have glommed onto a December 2018 Q post in response to commenter asking, will voter fraud in California ever be brought to light? Watch California, he said. Q wrote back 3 years on, and yeah, Q is now Nostradamus for these idiots. We just have to interpret it, and it might be something that's hundreds of years from now. Like, oh my God. Dethroning Newsom is the catalyst for the main event, wrote QAnon influencer John Sabalo, goes by QAnon John on the Telegram. Okay. These are these idiots. A man waves a Q flag at a rally against child trafficking on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles. By the way, didn't occur to you to go to Ohio to Jim Jordan's district with that fucking flag? If you really cared. At least be consistent with it. I'll give you walk down Hollywood Boulevard twice a week, but at least once go picket outside Joel Greenberg's jail cell, wherever he's being held or being released with his ankle monitor. Why not Matt Gaetz's office? Why not Dennis Hastard's house? Why not protest when Trump tries to get out of the E. Jean Carroll suit without having to give a DNA sample, which he didn't, and he has to. I'm honest to God, I would let people stand out there and make idiots of themselves if they were at least consistent about this shit. It's aggravating and embarrassing. And I don't know why people don't walk up and be like, why don't you guys care about Jim Jordan? Is it because it was men? Is it because you think this just sells your storyline about the sinfulness of gay lifestyle? So you just let men rape men as like a finger wag to society about homosexuality, as if same-sex attraction has anything to do with same-sex rape, which it doesn't. These folks aggravate me to know, and that one particular thing is just they just don't care about male rape victims. Essentially, they just don't, and they never will. And I don't know anybody who doesn't go I haven't, I've never been to one of these things, largely because of COVID. Most of these things have happened during a time when I was either busy with life or there's a real issue with these folks. These gatherings are Delta gatherings. But one of the things, in an attempt to sow the seeds of this rigged election, one popular QAnon forum has been filled with stories pushing California election misinformation. One highly upvoted story in recent days was headlined, Governor Gavin Newsom warns Californians, you will all die of COVID if I'm recalled. Although this is written as a direct quote, Newsom never said this. Right. Another story gaining traction is from Los Angeles TV KTLA. San Fernando Valley residents have trouble casting recall ballots. Quotes, only one 80-year-old voter is having issues at her polling place. When she raised the problem to poll workers, she was given a provisional ballot and allowed to cast her vote. That's what happens. Your vote gets counted. The only time it doesn't get counted is if they found out you already voted and that you tried to vote twice. Nonetheless, the story is being parroted across the far-right ecosystem, trying to invalidate Newsom's victory before the... Okay, where is the... Yeah, that's Larry Elder. There's no indication of any legitimate instances. Even one anon posting on a QAnon forum admitted such. I'm working in the election, the person wrote. So far, I've not spotted any physical fraud. In my county, most workers are trying their best. I'm very suspicious of Dominion, right? Which aren't used in California, in major like Democratic areas anyways. Despite their lofty talk, it seems not all Q believers are convinced. So now we need a third time. We have November 3rd. We have Georgia Senate run-ins. Now we need California. Is there a point that around here the question can be raised? I'm not sure patriots are in control. Are we the sheep? Here's the problem. I would question whether you're a patriot. I don't know. I don't think so. But I mean, are we the sheep for letting this go on? Are we the ones being gaslit, folks? You are not patriots. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Patriots are not one party within a nation that gets shit to go their way, and if it doesn't, they talk about attacking the country. That's not patriots. Patriots arguably take their country warts and all, serve their country regardless, exemplify the best values of their country.